All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the Rocky Top Insider postgame show. My name is Rick Butler, joined by Ryan Schumpert, as always, in a little bit of a different location today, as Ryan and I did play victim to the snow and the ice that is in Knoxville right now. It certainly kept some spectators outside of TBA at the FCC tonight, but Tennessee was able to make it hot with their play against the Gators. Tennessee takes down Florida by a score of 85-66 inside Thompson-Boling Arena. Ryan, there's a lot of different directions that we can go, but ultimately, Florida is going to be leaving this state with frostbite after the performance that Tennessee dropped on them today. The Gators had no offense throughout the game, and of course, the big story: Dalton Knecht drops 30. Dalton Knecht drops 39 points, I believe a career high. He was tremendous in leading Tennessee towards the victory.
No doubt about it. And it was a game that, you know, with the snow and with there being a lot less people there and with the 5 p.m. start, a lot could have led to Tennessee maybe having kind of a slow, sleepy start to the game, but that wasn't the case. Tennessee came out quick. They grabbed the lead early and they really never went back. It never trailed in the entire game. It felt like they kind of just slowly built the lead up. It got to about 20 points somewhat early in the second half. Florida did make one run. They got it back to, I think, as close as 10 points. But then after that, Tennessee pushed it back to 20 and really coasted and won this one with very little drama.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, going back to the beginning, Dalton Knecht was once again tremendous. He's kind of continuing this streak right now, especially go back to the second half against Georgia and what he was able to do, and then combining it with what he's able to do today. But I think they even showed it on the screen as many of us were watching as the television broadcast, despite the game being in Knoxville. Dalton Knecht passes Chris Lofton for a three-game scoring stretch in Tennessee history, just a tremendous feat. What did you think of his play tonight and just what he was able to do?
Oh, he was pretty unbelievable. And you might have seen me laughing there. I was trying to pull up a stat I see on Twitter, and what I found in the course was, Tennessee likes after a win, post little videos from the locker room. Oftentimes Rick Barnes talking. Rick Barnes walked in and pointed at Dalton Knecht and said he had 8 rebounds. So
I got to
Dalton
be honest,
Knecht.
you were laughing on the video, and I was like, which name did I just mess up? Which point total did I just completely butcher? I'm glad to know it was for a legitimate reason.
No, you didn't mess anything up. But no, yeah, Dalton Knecht. He continued his incredible streak, and look, even before this, he played really well in the Illinois game, but all of his best games had been on the road. And for the people that did fight the elements and made it to Thompson Bowling Arena this evening, they got a treat to Dalton Knecht's first just dominant home performance, and obviously goes for 39 points. That stands out, but just the final 7:05 of the first half, he scored 20 of Tennessee's final 22 points of the first half, and I don't know. I mean, he's been phenomenal this year at a lot of different points. That's was almost unlike anything I've ever seen before. He didn't miss shots. He got to the basket. He scored with his left hand. He scored with his right hand. He hit turnaround jumpers in the mid range. He hit a couple threes. And that's really when Tennessee truly opened up the game, and he was just superb during that stretch. And he ended the first half too, not only with 22 points, but he did it on 9 of 10 shooting from the field, 3 of 3 from 3 point range. He's hit a different gear in this last really 6 days when you consider the Mississippi State game was last Wednesday. And when he plays like this or just anything near this Tennessee team has a whole other gear to it.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Ryan. I'm looking at the box score right now, and I guess maybe there was a correction after the game because Jonas Aidoo, it says here he finishes with 9 rebounds. Again, I'm not so sure if that was a stat correction or what's going on there, but either way, Jonas Aidoo came right up close to a double double or hit a double double, but he had 19 points on the night. Threw in 2 assists as well. He was again tremendous, and I just think that he continues to give Tennessee just such an important presence down low. But one of the important parts to his game tonight against Florida was that he could step back and hit that mid-range shot. I thought that Aidoo kind of lost his defender a couple times. He got out and was able to find some space kind of right outside of the paint, and he was knocking those shots down. When he can knock down those shots, it just gives Tennessee's offense so much more of an extra element of versatility on the court. When they spread and when their offense is running right, they do spread pretty well and they do get some space, but it's about knocking down those shots. Jonas Aidoo playing that screen game, playing that pick and roll game, he's going to have that space a good bit. And so him showing that he can knock down those shots, I thought was a really positive sign for Tennessee tonight.
Definitely. And You're correct about the potential stat change. I had noticed that too before the Rick Barnes Zoom. And actually, I went back and checked because in my three quick takeaway story, I always screenshot the stats for the game. At the game, time the game ended, he had 10 rebounds. So they must have gone
Yeah.
through and
I
had a stat
wondered about
correction.
that. I wondered about that last one. I did feel like it was a little bit kind of ticky tack. I did kind of think it was a rebound, but I did wonder in the moment, are they going to give that one to him? They did, but I'm not surprised that maybe one of those got called back. But either way, right up against a double double.
Yeah, and it would have been his third in 4 games if it had applied. So he's playing well, and you're right. He hit the jump shot, and really it was. I mean, it was all him and Knecht scoring for Tennessee offensively tonight. Tennessee's third leading scorer was a tie between Zakai Siegler, who took 2 shots, and JP Estrella. They each scored 7 points. So it was really a two-man scoring show. And I think what we're seeing is going to be probably a longer conversation for another day, but something that's fascinating in front of our eyes that's happening is that Tennessee is just under Rick Barnes. Tennessee has not been a heavy pick and roll team. It's a lot of off ball screens and off ball movement and creating offense that way. They're slowly going to it more and more, and you can see why. Jonas Aidoo, with what he can do, kind of finding those soft spots and also finishing at the basket. And then you have two pick and roll ball handlers, and Zakai Ziegler and Dalton Knecht, who are different in what they do off the pick and roll. Dalton Knecht looks to score a lot more and can pull up into mid range for jump shots. Whereas Zakai Ziegler's typically looking to get guys involved more passing it, but both those guys, if you go under the screen, can shoot it over. They both can get to the basket, and it just gives Tennessee a lot of different options. And it's going to be fascinating as the season develops. How much Tennessee goes more and more to that because it feels like right now that's their best offense, at least when those two guys are going.
Yeah, for sure. Ryan, it was a cold night in Knoxville, and it was also a cold night for Florida's offense, just 29% from the floor, 22% from 3-point range. What do you think was kind of the crux to what Tennessee was able to do so well in defense to be able to stifle the Gators' offense?
That's a good question, and it feels like because even you look at the things that Florida does well for the most part, they were able to do a lot of those effectively. Florida's the best team in the SEC rebounding on the offense glass. They had 19 offensive rebounds, 14 second chance points. They were able to get out in transition and push the pace off some four Tennessee turnovers, which I think if you were going to look for a negative in this game for Tennessee, was that again turnovers were an issue. Not an unbelievable amount, just 13, but Florida does not turn people over a lot. And a lot of those Tennessee turnovers were sloppy. And in Florida, is really good at they want to get downhill driving, and they didn't shoot very well at the basket, so it wasn't like they were great at that. But they did get to the foul line, and they hit 20 to 25 free throws. So it wasn't like Tennessee just completely took away what Florida does well offensively. But when they were able to get Florida into a half-court game and really get set defensively, the Gators just had very few answers. 66 points, the least amount Florida has scored all year, under 1 point per possession. And I talked about it a little bit in my preview, but coming off a week where it was really Tennessee's defense that let them down in a road loss at Mississippi State and what turned out to be a road come from behind win at Georgia, they enter a week at home where they're playing two really good offensive teams in Florida and Alabama. Alabama will be a bigger test than Florida, but I felt like Tennessee's defense really aced the test this evening.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Ryan, I want to go back and talk about one guy that you mentioned just about a minute ago or so, and this JP Estrella. It kind of felt like he maybe found some minutes early in the game due to foul trouble, just kind of due to being kind of forced on the court. But then he sort of found a little bit of a breakout game there in the second half, especially totaled 5 points in the second half, 2 points in the first half for a total of seven, tied for Tennessee's third leading scorer, as you mentioned. Just what did you kind of think of his performance tonight? Seems like Rick Barnes was pretty encouraged by the way that JP performed on the court today. What did you think of it, and how much can that benefit Tennessee, just having another big man that's sort of starting to find his legs in that rotation?
No, Rick Barnes said, just about him looking like he belonged was, really the thing that rang true more than anything. It wasn't like he did anything spectacular. Most of his points came on, getting feeds, but that's half the battle of being a good offensive player as a big man is just putting yourself in the right position and going up and scoring with it when ball handlers get you the ball. And I thought he did a good job of that. You saw where his physicality is a little bit lacking. He gave up an offensive rebound on a free throw at one point, and just wasn't great on the glass. But a lot of solid things, and it's going to be really important. Tennessee in certain matchups, and I was going to ask Rick Barnes tonight. I felt like they played more two big men lineups tonight than we've seen all year. It feels like that was probably just a matchup thing, but Tennessee's going to run into some matchups where they're going to need either to play two big men some, or they're going to need JP Sherrill to come in and just play some defense and pick up some fouls because guys get in foul trouble. So tonight was certainly a step in the right direction for him and a good sign is kind of like you said, Tennessee's going to need him, maybe not every night, but I need him some nights down the stretch of the season.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Again, Dalton Knecht finished with a huge night, 39 points and 7 rebounds. He almost had a double-double himself. And then Jonas Aidoo coming up 1 rebound shy of a double-double with 19 points on his own end. Ryan, you talked about some of the other cast of character members. You talked about Zakai Ziegler a little bit, maybe Santiago Vescovi and Josiah Jordan James. A quiet night from them, but of course, like we alluded to, it was the Dalton Knecht show first and foremost when he took 23 shots in the night. Also, he goes, I believe, 4 of 6 from three-point land, so that is pretty darn good. Any other things that you want to touch on before we wrap up and get out of here?
No, I mean, I think we hit just about everything. Obviously, neither of us were there, but it seemed like a solid crowd given the circumstances. And again, credit to Tennessee. I said at the start, it could have been easy to not come out with a bunch of energy when you don't get the usual juice that you would do from a home crowd. And it seemed like the crowd maybe got pretty loud at some points, but certainly not to start the game like you would normally against a rival. So credit to Tennessee taking care of business at home, and a big challenge awaits them on Saturday.
Yeah, Florida continues their struggles in Knoxville. It's been a while since the Gators found a win inside TBA. Also, speaking about the crowd, they really wanted that 40 burger at the end. They were cheering for it. They were up on their feet. They really wanted Dalton to get that, and he actually admitted in the postgame press conference as well, he wanted that as too. So, hey, if you want to go and check out Dalton Knecht's press conference, if you want to go check out what Rick Barnes had to say after the game, well, just keep searching around on Rocky Top Insider's YouTube account. We have you covered over there. But otherwise, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up and get out of here. Again, like Ryan mentioned, we're at home, so it's going to be a little bit easier of a night for us. We're going to get right to our computers and start the postgame work for the day. Otherwise, thank you so much for listening and tuning in to the Rocky Top Insider postgame show. Number 6 Tennessee defeats Florida by a score of 85-66 in Knoxville. For Ryan Schumpert, I'm Rick Butler. This has been the RTI postgame show. We'll see you back for the next one.